Okay, next, as promised, we turn our attention to Arsenal. Mikel Arteta has already added Willian to his squad this summer, and now his focus has turned to adding to other areas, including at centre-back, which has for a long time been a problem area for Arsenal, hasn't it? So, Doms, come on, tell us, who are they looking to bring in?
Yeah, they're looking at Lille's centre-back, Gabriel, and there are developments on this one. The Lille boss, Christophe Galtier, has said he will not be part of the squad for Saturday's season opener against Rennes. Now, the big development came last night. Enter Manchester United and Paris Saint-Germain. They've emerged as possible destinations for Gabriel. Both have held talks with Gabriel's representatives. Now, it should be said here that there has not been a bid yet from United, but it's thought that United's other targets are proving quite expensive. There's been links with Koulibaly, who would be in excess of £70 million. And so that's why they might be looking at the Lille centre-back now. What we do know is that 3 clubs have met Lille's asking price. They're believed to be around about £22.5 million for the player. Those 3 clubs, we're told, are Everton, Napoli and Arsenal. Now, you can make that 2 because Everton appear to be out of the running. Aside of United's interest, it now seems it's a fight between Arsenal and Napoli for the player. It's thought the player's preference is to go to the Premier League. Now, the Lille president, Gerard Lopez, he's been quite open with Sky Sports News in the past week or so, and he says it will be up to the player himself to decide where he goes. And once he does decide, the club will finalise a deal with that preferred choice. With all that in mind, though, Arsenal do remain favourites, but Napoli have made what is described as a big salary offer for Gabriel. And now we've got the added intrigue of Manchester United and Paris Saint-Germain as well.
Oh, Arsenal fans will be keeping their fingers crossed for this one. And also, if Napoli have made a big offer, you'd think that maybe Koulibaly is actually on his way as well. It could be an interesting centre-back merry-go-round there. But, I mean, if the player does choose Arsenal, and Arsenal fans, like I say, are going to be desperate to get a player of his ability to the Emirates, would we expect to see a couple of players go?
Well, if Gabriel was to arrive at Arsenal, they would then have 9 central defenders on the books. Now, Konstantinos Mavropanos, he's already started a loan move to Stuttgart next season. So that one's sorted. That leaves potentially 8. David Luiz, of course, recently signed a new contract. Pablo Mari made his loan move permanent. And William Saliba will join up with his teammates, having signed last summer and then returned on loan to Saint Etienne for last season. Add to that, Rob Holding has got 3 years left on his contract. From the outside, I would expect Mikel Arteta to choose from those 4 players plus Gabriel if he signs. That leaves Callum Chambers, Sokratis Papastathopoulos and Shkodran Mustafi. I've been practicing these, by the way.
I'd have to say, brilliant pronunciations all the way. That is incredible, mate. Well done.
I thought my best one was Callum Chambers.
Yeah, that was perfect.
Yeah, well, look, Chambers has got 2 years left on his contract. Arteta may keep him because he can not only play centre-back, but he can play in the full-back positions as well. So his versatility might give him a prolonged stay at the Emirates. I don't think the same can be said for Mustafi and Sokratis, though. Both have now entered the final years of their contracts. It's difficult to see if Gabriel was to come in, plus the other players who are already there, how much game time those 2 guys would get. And this would represent the final chance that Arsenal could get any money for those players, given that there'll be free agents come next summer and they'll be able to sign for free on a pre-contract agreement come January. So potentially expect some movement on the likes of Mustafi and Sokratis, potentially Chambers, but I just get the feeling that Chambers might just get another season at Arsenal.
So it could be very much a new look defence for Arsenal next season, which will be interesting. Listen, to discuss this further, delighted to say we're joined now by French football expert Jonathan Johnson, who we welcome back onto the Transfer Talk podcast. Jonathan, welcome back to the show. We've just been speaking there about Gabriel. Look, he's a man in demand. Is this a player that you think would solve all of Arsenal's defensive frailties that we've probably been talking about for a good few years?
I mean, I don't think that he could be, held up as like the absolute solution to all of Arsenal's defensive issues. But I think he could go a long way alongside somebody like William Saliba to solving, those central defensive headaches. He's a very, very talented guy. Physical. He's strong. He's got good technique. He's made for the Premier League. And I think he would be a good addition if Arsenal can pull it off. And to be perfectly honest, considering the amount of time that Napoli have been interested in him, which goes back to when Napoli were thinking about or trying to pull off a double swoop for Osimhen, who's now joined Napoli, and Gabriel. To me, it seems like he's holding out for a preferred destination, which is the Premier League.
For people listening to this who maybe don't know much about the player, what were his key attributes? What would he bring?
He's a strong, fast, but also technical central defender. He's shown good leadership skills for somebody so young. He's recovered from a couple of difficult spells out on loan early in his career. He's got a good vision of the game. He's a very good long passer, actually, which would take some people by surprise. His physique, is very good in terms of what he brings to the defense. I'd say he could probably use it better in terms of going forward, like from set pieces and stuff like that. But he is, he's quite an imposing character. Very, very tenacious, gets stuck in, and I think that he has the physical attributes to thrive in the Premier League.
Hi, Jonathan. It's Darmish here. You mentioned William Saliba. Of course, he was on loan at St Etienne. Arsenal sorted out that deal last summer. How did he get on loan back to his club at St Etienne last season? And is William Saliba and Gabriel the central defensive partnership for Arsenal for years to come? Have they got the potential to do that, to be the bedrock of that team?
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that they have the potential to do that. I think it would be a pairing of two very, very good, very promising central defensive talents. And I think it's potentially a partnership that could serve Arsenal, for the best part of the next 10 years. Saliba's season with Saint Etienne was mixed. Obviously, the Ligue 1 season was brought to a premature close because of the COVID crisis. He had a few injuries to contend with as well. It was unfortunate for him that he wasn't granted the ability to play in the Coupe de France final before finishing his loan spell with Saint Etienne. I think that would have been a good way for him to go. But he's still shown when he plays, that he has, a lot of talent, a lot of potential. He's already fulfilling quite a bit of that. He has impressive maturity for his age, and I think that he would pair well with Gabriel. Obviously, both will take a bit of time to get used to the Premier League, but because as I explained, both are quite almost tailor-made for Premier League football. I don't think that process would take as long as it would do with other foreign players.
Arsenal have got a history of snapping up talent from in France, haven't they? And they've been linked with a move for the midfielder, the Lyon midfielder, Houssem Aouar. You might have to correct me on my pronunciation now. I'm not as good as Darmesh there, Jonathan. But what type of player is he, and how much are Lyon likely to want for his signature?
Houssem Aouar, yeah, he's a very, very talented midfielder. Came through the Lyon academy, shone in their run in the Champions League in Lisbon. Lyon unexpectedly making it to the semi-finals. He was a key part of that in a three-man midfield, sort of the more attacking element of that three-man midfield. So sort of think, in the same mold as Nabil Fekir, who he basically replaced in the team when Fekir moved on to Real Betis. The problem for any club now looking at Aouar, and there are plenty of them, not just in the Premier League, but elsewhere in Europe, is the fact that Lyon went as far as the semi-final in the Champions League. It now means that they're pretty much able to name the price that they want for him. My understanding is that Lyon will be looking in excess of 50 million euros for him, which obviously makes, buying him something that the clubs will have to give serious consideration to. considering the quite high price tag and the limited transfer funds generally available across Europe this summer because of the crisis earlier this year.
With that in mind, though, if Arsenal do want him and Arteta's identified Aouar as someone that he really wants in the team, should they just go all out and buy him now for that 50 million odd euros rather than wait and potentially, if he has another great season and Lyon are flying again, then you might have other people at the table?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's the risk as well that he doesn't stick around and that someone does see his potential, the good value there. I think, if I was a club this summer, and I had that money available and needed to strengthen in that position, then yes, I would spend the money because, if the economic situation in football recovers and transfer fees go up to something closer, to what they were before the crisis, I think that he would command much more in what we could call the normal, transfer market. So I think he's a good opportunity if the money is there. To spend on somebody like him, and if there are to be sales made in order to bring somebody like him in, I think it's definitely worthwhile because he's the kind of player you'd want to build, the team around moving forward.
There's even talk of Arsenal offering Matteo Guendouzi as part of this deal. Some of those are reports coming out of France, of course. Is Guendouzi somebody that Lyon need in their team at the moment? Would he fit?
I don't think he's necessarily somebody that they do need, because you look at the defensive aspect of that Lyon midfield. You've already got Kekere coming through, who's very, very talented and will probably be the next in-demand midfielder that's come through Lyon's academy after Aouar. And you've also
who's that you mentioned, Jonathan, there coming through?
Maxence Kekere.
Yeah.
And then there's also Bruno Guimaraes as well, who Arsenal were very interested in before Lyon managed to get that deal over the line, thanks to sporting director Juninho. So, I think that Guendouzi is not an obvious fit with Lyon. From what I understand, Lyon, are not too interested in a potential part exchange offer there from Arsenal.